Welcome back to the Campfire Series podcast. I am your host, Logan Soforenko. We are almost done with 2020, people. Let's celebrate. But in the meantime, on this December 3rd, Thursday, we have a very special guest joining us. Currently a teacher at Penn State University, but a Hamilton musical alumni. Please welcome Tyler McKenzie. Well, I definitely want to talk to you and ask you about your journey as a performer. Right now, tell us a little bit about your most recent gig at Penn State. You're pretty excited about that and pretty passionate about teaching there. What's going on there?
So let's see, in August, I was very kind of used to the pandemic. I'd found my rhythm. It became sort of normal, teaching virtually for multiple different companies and all that. And then I got a text message from a friend asking if I was still interested in teaching for college. And I've always been interested for teaching for college, but knew that I needed a master's to do so and never had the time to get one. And also was deathly afraid of getting, ever seeing student loans again. Because paid mine off for undergrad and never want to see those student loans ever again. But this opportunity fell into my lap, actually. I get an email asking if I'm interested in this teaching position for the musical theater department at Penn State. I audition / interview, I teach mock classes, I talk to the faculty, and then I end up getting the position. I had 2 weeks to move from New York City to Pennsylvania. I moved with my husband. We are here in State College. I'm teaching. He is the director of operations for the Broadway Collective. So there's a lot of musical theater training happening in our household right now. And yeah, the semester's pretty much over, which is wild. Time flies. And it's a 2-year term, so we'll see what happens afterward. But I think I'm doing a pretty good job. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Well, congratulations on that. And obviously,
Thank you.
being able to teach those kind of classes comes with, you have to have a little bit of background. Tell me a little bit about your background. I want to hear about the feeling of a Broadway debut first. I want to hear a little bit about that. Walk me through what show it was, how casting went, and just the jitters of opening night. Because I haven't really talked to anybody about opening night and how crazy that is. But walk me through it.
Oh, this is a good one. Okay, so as soon as I'll give you a little bit of background. I graduated in 2013 from Western Carolina University in the mountains of North Carolina with a BFA in musical theater. About a month after I graduated, I booked the Mamma Mia national tour. It was the first non-equity national tour, a brand new company building the show from the ground up. And it was my first big gig, my first commercial theater gig. And I thought I was on top of the world. It was the most exciting thing. I made some incredible friends, some of which I still talk to very often. And let's see, I think it was about, I can't remember how many months into the gig I had gotten the call, but I remember that it was in Chicago. We were in Chicago for about 2 weeks with the show, and mid-show I get a voicemail from the company manager of the Broadway company of Mamma Mia, giving me an offer to be a vacation swing during the summer. And that worked perfectly because the show, the company that I was a part of, the tour company, wasn't was taking a break for the summer anyway, so I had the time, I had the space. I obviously said yes. I got my equity card. I soon after that started really getting serious about getting an agent. So I got an agent so that I could get a little bit more guidance and get into rooms now that I realized, okay, cool, your career is picking up. Now let's get some help. And yeah, I made my Broadway debut with Mamma Mia. It was a quick rehearsal process. And about 5 of us from that non-equity touring cast actually transferred to the Broadway show sometime, not all at the same time, but in a matter of the time that we were on the tour, we had gotten transferred, or later on were asked to do the Broadway show. I had maybe a week of rehearsals because I knew the choreography, I know the show, so it was very quick. And then let's see, that first night, I hear the entr'acte starts, and or the just that first downbeat of the show, and I'm like I'm at the vocal booth because the ensemble sings a lot of the ensemble of the on off singing. We do some offstage singing, and I like felt myself almost wanting to throw up. Like, it was so real. There were a few people in the audience that I knew because I'd gotten them tickets. So it was a really big deal. And then, yeah, it happened. And I did the show for a couple months, and then went back out with Mamma Mia, the national tour. We went to Colombia, South America, for about a month, and it was amazing. Since then, I have done, I think, total maybe 6 or 7 companies of Mamma Mia, whether it be performing or directing or choreographing. So, yeah.
I would ask what your favorite is, but with like favorite show you've done. But with that being said, when it comes to going from a tour to a Broadway cast, where on a tour you're kind of constantly in motion and not really settling down from city to city, and then you're going into the Broadway company where you're at that same theater 8 shows a week, what did you
Mhm.
find challenging and different when it comes to mental health and taking care of your body physically and your voice to do 8 shows a week, and how it differentiated from the tour to the Broadway cast?
With the tour, it was pretty hectic schedule. So you had to be used to being in a different bed almost every night. Um, and in hotel rooms, rather than in on Broadway, you are going home to your apartment. You're going home to the same room. You know exactly where you placed everything. There are no roommates depending on your track when you're on tour, depending on the type of tour. Um, Especially if you want to save money, you have a roommate in your hotel room. So that feeling of independency and having your own space rather than a shared space, I think, is a huge difference. And one thing that I found with Broadway is, with everyone living in New York City, they are this is a lot of the times it is a job, and they usually have something else afterwards. They're going out for drinks, or they're meeting family, they're meeting friends somewhere. So we kind of, after the show, disperse. Whereas on tour, everyone's going back to the same hotel, or everyone's hopping onto the same bus. So there is that sense of community that is somewhat forced because of the schedule, but that was something to get really used to, like being done with my show and getting back on the subway and being like by myself instead of being with my whole cast, being able to like just decompress together. So because I like to, I believe that the reason why I love musical theater and doing shows is because of the community. And I think my my offstage presence and the offstage show is just as important as the onstage show. Um, so as far as physicality and physical wellness, yeah, knowing that you're going to be, maybe some hotels have not so great beds. Maybe you're going to be getting up early to go on the bus to go to another city. Yeah, that type of stuff gets really heavy on your body after a while. So it takes a lot of getting used to, but man, did I think I loved it so much. I will always treasure and honor my first gig, my first national tour. No matter how many times a week did we switch cities, or um, just any of it. It was just incredible. Obviously, making my Broadway debut and realizing that this is what I've been working for a long time, and that happening is incredible, and it is irreplaceable. But yeah, I hope I answered the question.
Oh, absolutely. When you said the word community, ironically, as you're drinking your Starbucks, I immediately thought, oh, that's what we used to do back when theater was somewhat normal. I'm currently in a Zoom production of King Lear, so it's a little different right now. It's a little challenging, so that's why I was thinking about the opening night jitters. I'm like, wow, I don't do it from here. I do it in my like back house. So I got like the bunk beds and
Yeah.
a bunch of stuffed animals just like watching me.
Cool, cool. That's hilarious. I'm doing a Zoom production of Annie right now. I'm
Oh
playing
my
Rooster. So I totally get you. This is why for those of you who are listening, I have my self-tape set up all and my lighting set up because I am in this home studio that I put together with the help of my husband in my basement to work on class stuff and also obviously do home theater. So that's it's definitely new. That's what it is. It is new, but it is exciting to be in rehearsal virtually and be creating, and doing whatever we can to spread joy no matter what medium,
I think I saw you sing on your story the other day. Very, very, very good.
Thank you,
Just
thank
you,
you.
you gotta
Yes.
give credit where credit is due. But with that being said, the community with how we're handling the pandemic, how
Yeah.
strong do you think our theater community is going to be, you know, when this whole thing is over, and likely with the way things are going and the people I've talked to next fall when Broadway tours come back and
Mm,
Broadway shows come back. Hopefully it's sooner. I'm praying that it
yeah.
is, but how do you think we're going to come back after this never-ending nightmare, some may
Yeah.
say?
I think we've learned a lot, and that's kind of been my my takeaway from this, and I'm still learning so many things, especially being in a position of leadership and education. The fact that a lot of schools right now, hopefully all of them, you're required to wear a mask in your dance classes. These students that are about to graduate and enter this industry are going to have just the incredible skill of breath support and being able to sing and dance at the same time. It is the challenge that nobody asked for, but also it's like such a good tool that I think we can use later on as well. Um, and we have a few pandemics going on, don't we? We have COVID, we have social injustice and racial injustice, and there's a lot of inequities happening right now. So there's a lot of conversation happening and a lot of challenges being thrown at everybody in theater. So I think that conversation, I think the learnings, I think people speaking up about everything, and just mother nature of it all, is going to make us a lot stronger. Not everybody will. The sad part is not everybody. Some people will have moved on. They will have progressed in other fields of interest, or jobs, which is so awesome. But there will be. I am very hopeful that there will be changes made, and there will be a lot of new practices that will continue, that will assist theater in a way that not only spreads joy to other people, but it is a lot more joyful for the people who are doing it and doing it every single day, 8 times a week, no matter where, whether it be community theater, regional theater, tours, Broadway, international theater. I think it's just all going to be a lot stronger. We have to kind of go through a lot of challenges to get stronger. It is a strengthening exercise for sure. And I think we won't notice it until we're up and running and we've figured out what our new normal looks like.
Having those conversations, as you said, very, very, very important. I feel that
Yeah.
even if anyone has a young sister or a young brother, whoa, young brother out there, talk to
Yeah.
them. And I feel that's just super important because especially when there's so many times that people have done shows, and I assume you have too, where theater's not the only thing in the world. There's real stuff going on around us, and you have to adapt to being able to obviously do the show at best capacity, but having these things that are going on in our country and our world impact you.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's pre-pandemic, because this stuff's been happening. This racial injustice and social justice, it's been happening for a long time, which is unfortunate.
absolutely.
But I feel that we're trying to make change, and I feel that we're having these conversations that are awkward and uncomfortable for a lot of people, and that's a good thing, because that's how we
For
grow.
sure.
But with that being said,
For sure.
uh, kind of segueing into a show that was released probably a month into the heart of, well, this was a month later after George Floyd was killed, and there was a bunch of questions about the government and everything. When Hamilton was released on Disney Plus, you were
Mm.
in. Were you in? You weren't. Were you in the original, or when did you? Tell me a little story about Hamilton.
Yeah. Let's see. I had finished up doing Matilda. And I figured I closed out the tour in 2017, and I figured I'd have a little break. And I didn't. I had about a month. I originally auditioned for, at that time, I had auditioned for the Philip Company, which wouldn't open for about 6 months from that time. And I ended up booking the Broadway show because they needed a quick replacement. So I got the call and had to start immediately rehearsing. And that was in 2017. I think it was like July 2017. So no, I was not in the OG cast. And at that time, I think there were only a few of the original Broadway cast members involved, like still doing the show, because that show is so tiring. And for some people who were in the production when it was at the public theater, as well as like the workshops that happened before that, they were ready. You know what I mean? They were ready. It's such a physically demanding show. So I joined. I guess I joined a few months after they had done the filming, but yeah, I was not in the OG cast, but oh dang, did I love doing that show, and did it happen so quickly. And then I opened the Philip Company in 2018. At the very, very start of 2018, we opened a brand new company called the Philip Company, and we opened in Seattle and then took it all over the nation.
What were some differences that you found? Because it looks like you've done the Broadway productions of some shows, and then you did the tour version of those shows too. What was
Oh yeah.
different between the two? And also, obviously, aside from having a completely new company, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see. I love saying this because I think there's this, young actors have this mentality of Broadway or bust, and I'm a firm believer that I believe that you save so much money when you're on tour. So at the time when I was doing Matilda and then Hamilton tour, I was able to pay off all my student loans. I was able to set myself up for financial success because, especially, Hamilton tour was my third tour. So I had visited a lot of those places before. I didn't need to go to the museums that I had seen 3 or 4 years ago. I was just a little bit more mature about my spending. So that is one thing that I believe people don't necessarily remember, is when you're on tour, you have the opportunity to get rid of your apartment depending on how long you're away, as well as, so you're not paying rent. You're also getting a per diem, which is non-taxed, and it's separate from your actual paycheck, depending on the tour that you're on and what kind of tour it is. And if you're smart about it, you can leave tour with setting yourself up for financial success. And what that looks like is having enough money for any emergencies. And at the time, I didn't know I was saving up for a pandemic, but I guess I was. So the beauty of having been very smart while I was on tour for about a year and a half with Hamilton paid off, because once the pandemic hit and I didn't have any clue how I was going to navigate it, I didn't have to worry about anything. Not anything, but I didn't have to worry about struggling or running out of money quickly. So I think that's a big difference that I don't think people think about. Another difference is just not just, but I was I had a partner for Hamilton. I think I also had a partner for Mamma Mia, but a different partner, I guess. And long distance is difficult. It is difficult. It is difficult. Not everyone can pull it off. Um, it is a privileged. It is a privilege to be able to do it um, seamlessly. And I don't even think I did it we did it seamlessly, but we had the opportunity for him to visit every city. We didn't travel very often. I think out of the year we traveled to 12 different cities. We were in cities for a pretty long time. So that was amazing. With Hamilton. Um, so it's definitely it's the nomadicness of it all when you're touring. It's there's always uncertainty, especially if you haven't been to the city before. Um, you don't know what the Airbnb is going to look like, if you're going to like it, because it's all about like when you enter the Airbnb or whatever hotel you're staying at, that's when you realize what the energy is like, what it smells like, what it feels like. Is there a draft in the window? It's just those little nuances that have everything to do with your like with your psyche, with your emotions, with your just everything as far as whether or not you like the city or not, or and like performing in the city. Um, so yeah, it's definitely about the lifestyle when you're touring, that is different than when you're on Broadway or when you're settled into a city for a very long time, and you just have more of a sequence, more of a system, more of I guess stability, if you want to say that. Yeah, there's just less uncertainty, I think.
You hit something that I don't think I've ever really taken into consideration, and that being how financially different it is with being on a tour and being in a Broadway cast. It's kind of interesting, and thank goodness. I mean, not thank goodness for the pandemic, but you have a, you're safe, and I feel that the nomadic, I think that's a great way to describe the tour life. But
Hmm.
that being said, we're going to enter eventually a post-pandemic world. How do you see this? You mentioned earlier about how there's the people, at least you're teaching, are going to be, you know, more well-rounded when it comes to dancing and singing and breath support. What do you think is
Yeah.
going to happen after the pandemic when it comes to getting yourself in a room on the future of auditioning, whether that be uh, continuing to evolve with self tapes or that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it will be the audition process, I believe, will be very virtual. Will be very, very um we'll have to have a huge love or appreciation slash tolerance with your first impression being over like Zoom or over self tape. So how do you present your best self authentically while in front of a TV screen? And I think the students at Penn State and a lot of my friends are learning how to have fun with it and accept it. I think it was happening even before the pandemic. I was doing a bunch of self tapes on tour. I was doing self tapes in my apartment even when I was living in New York, and I could easily just go down to whatever office was happening. Um, it's just going to be the way of the world. And I see so many people training online, and taking class from people they wouldn't necessarily have the time or the money or the just headspace to train. And I do think that alone will assist in when we come back. Everyone's going to be a lot stronger. They will have learned new languages, new dialects, new everything, just new styles. Because I think if you are looking at this pandemic and you're the time in a positive way, or if you've navigated it in a positive way or found your way, and your system, you can use this time to stay curious and learn as much as you can, just to make yourself, not just to make yourself more marketable, but there's just such a there's excitement in learning new skills, you know, and having something else to talk about, you know.
I usually ask what is some advice you can give, but I feel like that was pretty spot on in talking about just to play around because that's what we do in theater. We
Yeah,
play, and people get paid to tell the truth while lying. Like we like putting on a character. There's
for
truth in
sure.
that, but with that being said, just before we wrap up, I do want to ask one thing. On tour, favorite theater? Go.
Ooh, favorite theater. I have a couple. Um, let's see. I've played the Smith Center in Las Vegas 3 times, and I love that space. It's so gorgeous. It's pretty new. I don't think it's even 10 years old. Um, and it's so gorgeous. I also love I think it's the Paramount Theater in Seattle. I love Pacific Northwest. Gorgeous. Um, let's see, what another theater. I love all the Fox theaters, whether it be St. Louis, Atlanta. Um, oh, they're just incredible. That's the best part. It's just, some theaters are a lot smaller than others, so your backstage space is like little to none, depending on how big your show is and how it fills out the stage. But that's the fun about it. That I love tour, but when after a while, is again, long distance is hard, and when you have other priorities that are your relationship and just a little bit of stability and creating a home, you cannot do that on tour. So I was ready to leave. I left Hamilton in 2019 in August. So about 2 years of doing the show, and a year and a half of it was on tour. So I was ready to, one, rest my body, as well as solidify relationships and connection and a home, which was very important to me. When things open up, who knows? Maybe I'll go back on tour for just a little bit, but it'd have to be short periods of time for sure.
I was just about to ask if we're gonna see you in the future, but I feel that you just once again kind of answered that. But do you think you're gonna be
Yeah,
seeing yourself back on the Great White Way or back out on the Great White Road?
I think so. The beauty that is Penn State is it's a research one school. So, as a professor in performance, my research is doing theater and being in the world. So, if there is an opportunity to do a gig for a little bit, and do a stint on Broadway or whatever, I am encouraged to pursue that, because it looks good for the school, and I then learn more, and I'm able to bring that back to the students. But I'm looking at this job at the moment as a really fierce regional gig, and just seeing where the world takes me. I performing, I am not done performing, obviously, since I am doing a virtual production of Annie. I still love playing characters. I still love storytelling. I still love movement and receiving feedback and receiving choreography, and that I'm not done with that yet. At the moment, I am very blessed to be able to be doing something that I love, 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 love. In the meantime, before things open back up again, and there are theater spaces that you can perform in person, you know.
Well, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to meet with me. It was so much fun chatting with you and hearing about your experiences, your thoughts, and
Of
honestly,
course.
not only just advice, but you opened my eyes a little bit about the financial part. That's a big thing, especially especially as a college student.
Yes, 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 yes. Good luck to you in college. I hope you're learning a lot these days.
Hey, we're doing our best on Zoom University. We're
I
all
hear
online.
you.
We're all online. We just had an outbreak on campus the other day because a Halloween
Okay.
party. So, you
Ah,
know,
jeez.
we're praying for safety and,
All right.
all that
All
stuff. I
right.
really appreciate that.
Yeah, sending you good vibes.
You as well. Best of luck. I know semesters are coming to an end. We're coming to the holidays, but enjoy the
Yes.
holidays. Enjoy whatever you may celebrate, whether that be Christmas or if we don't,
Yes.
all that stuff.
Yeah. Same to you. Happy holidays.
Yeah,
It's going to be so good to have this break for everyone.
exactly. And stay safe through all of this because, with all the stuff happening right now, with the cases going up, it's important that we stay safe.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Same to you.
Well, you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your Starbucks if it's not gone already, but
It's actually Sheets. I'm
oh
obsessed
my
with it. It's
gosh.
here in it's in this area / Virginia and stuff like that. I don't know. Have you ever been to a Sheets before?
I have not. I feel like it just sounds like an East Coast thing. I feel like
Yeah, yes, I think so. It's also there's probably a type of place that you have on your end, but it is it's a gas station, and in the convenience store part they make food and you order it on touchscreen TV, like touchscreen monitors, and they have everything. The food's really good, the coffee is great. I needed it today. So yeah, that's what it is. Sheets. I haven't had Starbucks in a very long time actually. So
well,
yeah,
be sure to
but
check it out when I'm in Pittsburgh or wherever I am in Pennsylvania,
yeah,
wherever I am in the East Coast in the future.
you must. I definitely recommend it.
Well, I appreciate the recommendation and I
Of
appreciate once
course.
again your time and enjoy life. I know it's hard, but there's always ways, and I feel like you're doing a good job.
No, thank you, Logan. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on here. I'm
Absolutely,
excited to continue to support and keep having great conversations. It's super important.
very important.
Yeah, yeah. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
You as well. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.